Hello everyone and welcome to the episode 2 of INDSA Podcast 2.0. Here on INDSA Podcast, we strive to inspire everyone to choose the food that brings the good and dive into the nutrition and dietetics community to know more about it. I'm Jin An, your host today, and here with me is my three lovely co-hosts, Ning, Jia Yi and Esther. Woo! Alright, so in today's episode, we'll be taking a deep dive into the diet culture. So some of you might be confused what it is. So basically, actually, I wanted to ask you guys also, what do you guys think diet culture is?
I think that culture is like a belief that you think what your body appearance, your body shape, how it looks like, and what you eat, food and your basically the whole diet culture, how it affects your body shape and appearance.
I sort of agree with Esther also.
Yeah, true. For Jai, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, for me, I think diet culture is more like a culture that involves diet and also body appearance, and also like different ethnics, they have different culture. So it's more of like multiple factors or elements that combine together.
Yeah, that's very true. Because generally for diet culture, I think just to give the answer, it's a belief that your body's appearance and shape are more important than its overall health and function. And it's often resulting in over-consuming or over-controlling diets or exercise in an attempt to manipulate or change our bodies per se. So do you guys feel like you've experienced that? Whereby you feel like you saw something, whether it's online or you've gotten this message sent to you in some way, and then you feel like you need to change your body?
I sort of experienced this when I'm still in secondary school, but now, we will filter some information before we apply to ourselves.
That's true, because we grow and then we kind of just like ourselves more, I guess, and then we want to stay
maturity.
You're more aware about self-love.
That's very true. And also, I think it's really great that we live in this era where we have social media, which, to be honest, social media can be bad also, but there are also so many good informations out there, and then where it promotes self-love. And I think it spreads some toxic messages, but it also helps us to promote self-love and just positivity in general. Yes, sir. Yeah. So actually, talking about that, we briefly mentioned that there's social media aspect also, but generally for the origin of diet culture, interestingly, it actually starts with the creation of the ideal body. I think this is not that surprising, but interestingly, it started even in the ancient times. So we can see that in the paintings, such as in the Victorian era, you could see female figures usually have more fuller figures to represent their husband status. And then in Chinese, you could see that the paintings all had petite female figures with narrow waist and pale skin. So you could see what's their ideal, what's their standard of beauty back then, which is pretty interesting to me. And then generally, I also realized that male figures, they have more consistent body type, which is chiseled body with other masculine features, so more muscly, more chiseled. And then on the other hand, the women's beauty standard are
ever changing.
It's so inconsistent. We can see that in currently, maybe let's just dive back into 2000. It was we wanted skinny, tomboy skinny. And then 2010 we grew into curvier body, Kim Kardashian type body. And then but back in the days also they wanted fuller figure. So everywhere also fuller, but now I think the Kim Kardashian type was fuller at the bottom.
And on chest.
Yeah, so it's a lot of changes, which is interesting. But since the evolution of mass media, I guess for in the past, it wasn't really an issue for those people in the past because they weren't constantly exposed to those beauty standards. It's I guess let's talk about the Victorian era, maybe if you're not on the upper circle, then you won't be exposed to this. You won't feel the pressure to conform to all these beauty standards. But I guess what's sad for us now is that we have like since the evolution of mass media, we are constantly exposed to these beauty standards online, and so there comes the pressure to follow them. And it's really not surprising that many of us internalize and idealize those standards due to the greater pressure. So here are some examples for those exposure. Maybe we can talk about it. So like I mentioned, in the early 2000s, the beauty standard was called heroin chic, which is a very unhealthily thin figure. And I think it started with celebrities' promotion of fat diets, such as Jennifer Aniston. Yeah, she promoted the Atkins diet while on the set of Friends. And then, I think you mentioned...
I found out that Beyonce, although she is quite curvy, but she still promotes like fat diets, such as the Master Cleanse drinks, when she is filming the Dreamgirls episodes.
I think even though like the promotion of these fat diets, I guess not fat diet, that this like because these diets usually consist of more healthy food. I guess maybe it's beneficial for them to promote clean eating, but it's a very extreme approach for them. Like I think it really induced like a fear for unhealthy food, and it's not the most healthy choice. I feel. And then regarding like the psychological reactance also, I guess you are more likely to eat the food that you ban yourself from, because generally, I guess I think it's called psychological reactance. It's like when you fear and restrict yourself from certain foods, it will only make you crave it more. Then you overeat it, then you gain weight, and then you restart the toxic cycle again.
I kind of sort of support that, because like you put more focus on the food, and then since you try to eliminate the food, but it makes you more focused on, I'm not gonna eat that, but it makes you fall back.
You're constantly thinking about that food, but you just forbid yourself to touch that.
It just makes you think about it more and more and more. And that really doesn't help.
Defeats the whole purpose.
Perhaps it was necessary for the celebrities to go all in like that, because like considering it's their job and they need to get to like a certain body in a short amount of time. But I think we need to keep in mind that they have an entire team of nutritionists and personal trainer, and even sometimes like a therapist, just to make sure they're doing okay mentally while doing all this, and possibly more other professionals supporting their journey. But for us, we don't have that resource, so we can't expect ourselves to do the same and hit the same target as them, achieve the same goal as them, when we don't have the same level of guidance.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because if you think about it, like celebrities, they have more, financially, they are capable of hiring so many people to support them. But then if you think about us, we are just okay, financially okay, and
are you sure it's okay? Financially struggling.
But we still want to maintain their life, their body. How can we compare to them? And also, like going back to the psychology one, you're just constantly thinking about it, and it also affects your mental health. But then for them, they have a therapist and all those. They go for counseling, so they get to improve not just their body but their mind, their mental well-being. So it's just different. You cannot really compare sometimes. I think this is something we all need to keep in mind.
That's very true.
I sort of agree with Esther's point, because their career and their job depends on their appearance, their body shape. But what we are doing is not about it.
It's totally different. And I think speaking of celebrities, there were also, like in the movies or show that they were starred in the early 2000s, there were also a lot of fatphobic messages. So I think they were generally, like the movies and the shows, they were sending, like, apart from sending fatphobic messages, it was also glorifying eating disorder in a sense. Because when you think about it, in the early days, the fat characters, I think maybe even until now maybe, but the fat characters were usually just like the protagonist's sidekick or like best friend, and then they're usually portrayed as undesirable. Like while the protagonist is go around dating all these people, and then the fat character's just there,
assisting them,
assisting them as if they have no life. They just support the protagonist all the time, which is kind of funny. So
for example, in the famous Marvel movie Spider-Man, there's Peter Parker's sidekick. The name is Ned Leeds. He is always beside Peter Parker's, but nobody knows about his story.
Funnily enough, when you said Peter Parker, I was like, oh yeah, that friend, but I can't remember his name.
I need to look up for the information for his name.
It's like he appears in the movie a lot, like we've seen him a lot, but it's just the way that he's portrayed makes him not so memorable. And then even like if the so-called fat characters, they are the leading roles, right? They will often be changing their appearance or body weight or just feel uncomfortable with what they have.
I have an example for this also. There's a Netflix series called Insatiable. The main character is a girl called Patty Bladell, who is a bullied girl due to her body size, and she went on an extreme diet and workout routine to lose weight as she participates in a pageant competition to fulfill her desire and revenge on her families and peers. The Netflix series also reflected how the society judged on people's body size and how it will affect one's mental and physical health significantly.
That's very true. It's a very common trope, like the character would start out as fat and undesirable, and then suddenly something happened, and then like it's sometimes in more magical movies, I guess they get like a transformation out of nowhere, and or like they just always end up changing their body anyways.
If I could recall, there's one Disney movie, like the latest version of Snow White with 7 Dwarfs. You guys know about that?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the one with I think it's like a girl fat in size, but she won one red shoe and then makes her slimmer in size. And then she removed her shoes, she returned back to her original. And then it's like, I have no idea why Disney, I mean not only Disney, but movies like that always focus on, you wore one thing and then change your appearance, something like that.
It's constantly like portraying people to change their body size.
And always like sending the message that the desirable body is a leaner, thinner body. And also I realized one thing interestingly also for movies, they tend to cast women of average weight and then they contrast them with thin, attractive model type women in an attempt to convince the audience that they're fat when they're not, they're just average size. Like for example, in Devil Wears Prada, Andy, which was played by Anne Hathaway, I believe, she was the protagonist who's size 6, which is a very normal, considered lean body for women. But she was ridiculed throughout the movie for her size. And in the movie, there were also scenes where I feel like it was glorifying eating disorder, where it showed characters starving themselves just to be more skinny. And even in one scene, I remember the other assistant, Emily, she described her super unhealthy diet. She said, I'm on this new diet. Well, I don't eat anything, and when I feel like I'm about to faint, I eat a cube of cheese. I'm just one stomach flu away from my goal weight. So, like, things like this that's really promoting unhealthy diets and glorifying this eating disorder. I guess what Emily did is close to eating disorder already. But it wasn't pointed out in the movie that it was an issue.
They're just normalizing this unhealthy culture.
I mean, although it's in a movie, movie is always fictional, but I think it's also important that we are aware that this is not a norm, that this is actually, not good, and we shouldn't be following, although it's a movie, but we also need to know that, okay, this is not good, and we shouldn't follow the footsteps.
I think we oftentimes underestimate the power of media because what you see really could influence what you internalize. So like if we keep showing this, then people would think like, oh, this is the norm, I should follow that. Like the power of media is just, it should be talked about more.
I mean, just imagine if they are not in touch with those, like they are not aware that this is eating disorder thing, and then they'll think like, oh, maybe I should try this. Yeah, so
That's very true.
it may lead to certain disease like, eating disorders, body dysmorphia, something like that.
Yeah, and even apart from movies, actually, in the early 2000s, I don't know if you guys could recall, but remember those magazines cover where they attack celebrities with like unflattering pictures of them, and then with like titles, very mean-spirited titles like, oh, she lost weight, she gained weight, her body looks good, her body does not look good, just criticizing their bodies all the time. Like, I think we saw that on the magazine cover all the time in 2000. Yeah, because it wasn't really, no one was really ever aware of that issue back then also. And plus, I think it's because in the early 2000s, we had the Y2K fashion, which was skinny jeans, low-rise jeans, really short crop tops, mini skirts, and generally like very much more revealing clothes that only work on the concurrent beauty standard. So back then it was skinny, right? So it was to be heroin chic, like really skinny. So it will only look good on those body. But on a body with more curves, it might not be that flattering. So many tried to follow the existing beauty standard to fit into those clothes, because I think that's what humans do. We always follow the trend, right? Whether you like it or not. And then, you know, people just try to lose weight, change their body to fit into those clothes, because those were the majority of the clothes sold on the market at that time also. Yeah, so I think I'm really glad that right now we have more inclusive beauty standard, and also like fashion also. So like we went from low-rise jeans to high-rise jeans, where it's flattering on everyone. I hope it never goes out. So like, yeah, but generally I think in 2000 there is a lot of things that are shaping this diet culture already. That's why I guess in the early 2000s there's a spike in the eating disorder cases as well. Yeah. But moving on to the current beauty standard, as I mentioned just now, is more on the Kardashian, but it's skinny with curves, which I find even more ridiculous, because how can you have weight on certain body but then skinny?
Actually, certain parts, you know?
Yeah, especially the waist.
The skinny one is bigger. How can you distribute your fats like that?
Exactly. It's like, if you want to have weight on your hips, obviously you're going to have a little bit of weight on your stomach also, but they expect it to be flat. And
I think they use some kind of stuff, like when they work out. I saw like, what?
Oh, the waist trainer.
Yeah,
is that?
they just like tuck their weight in. Yeah, they use corset to work out.
Corset.
Yeah, which is pretty ridiculous if you think about it, because it kind of just makes it seem like exercise is only a way to...
Yeah, it's not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, but I guess we'll talk more about it in your episode. Stay tuned. But yeah, regarding the current beauty standard, I guess because we don't use magazines and like, we don't use magazines as much anymore. So like it's more on the social media, as mentioned. So like we have a lot of TikTok influencers nowadays giving unqualified advices. Because I saw a lot on TikTok where like they promoted detox metabolism boosting juices.
Oh, come on.
And then they promote like weight loss products, like one of the waist trainers. I saw a lot of products, like a lot of videos promoting like a waist trainer where you just put on and then you would sweat, and then they promise that it will help you lose weight, when in fact you just lose water weight.
Yeah, it's not the real fat.
Yeah.
It's just water.
And when you're starving yourself also, you lose your muscle. Yeah, so, and I think there's also like cream, like weight loss cream, where like if you apply on certain place, then it would
automatically
become smaller.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I've never tried that. I don't know if it actually works, but if it actually works, that's just kind of scary. Like, what is it doing to my body?
Is it unscientifically proven? I think this is the thing that everyone needs to know. Like, everything needs to be scientifically proven.
Yeah, especially because we're science students.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I also saw something like something that you ingest. I think that's also really dangerous. Like, I think
weight loss pills.
Weight loss pills, yes.
All these are really common.
Diarrhea, like the what do you call that? Laxative.
Yeah, laxative.
Yeah. So all of this that I don't know, I've not tried them before. But I know that laxative for sure only helps you to lose your water weight as well. So it's really, ridiculous. And like what we mentioned just now, some celebrities, influencers still promote certain fad diets like keto diet, juice cleanse, many more. And then this has become more and more pronounced as well. Yeah. Then there's also like the glorification of like thinness. I think you were talking about it just now.
Yeah, I think it's like, I saw most of it, these trends like A4 paper waste, like putting coins on collarbone just to show you're skinny enough. Like this type of trend usually tends to happen on China, TikTok.
Yeah. Seen that a lot. So.
And like this type of skinny enough challenge in China like makes people worry about. Since we have more exposure on this type of social medias, especially TikToks, and I think most of people around me use TikTok lah. So I think they have a huge influence on these trends.
It's very true. And then like with these challenges, people just want to keep like hitting like certain, I think like the collarbone challenge, I think I saw a lot of people where they put several coins, right? So it's like they measure your thinness by how many coins you can put on your collarbones. So it just makes people more, I think humans are all competitive in a sense. So like they just, the more I can put on top. But
it makes me look
feel
like
feel better.
Yeah, maybe I'm
better.
skinnier, something like that.
So it's really just glorifying thinness, which, by the way, I think I don't want to body shame anyone. It's not saying that by being thin you're unhealthy, but we're talking about because some people have naturally thinner frame, so it's normal. But if you're eating fine and then you have a thinner frame, that's not what I'm talking about. It's what I'm referring to is like those who
trying to purposely lose weight to fit into some culture, to fit into some kind of standards.
Even when some warning signs are already shown, like maybe hair fall, like amenorrhea, something like that. And then there's also Facetune and Bodytune, which I think we're all very familiar with. On social media, I'm pretty sure like for celebrities definitely use it, whether they want it or not. Like maybe on magazine covers, they usually body tune them into like a more ideal body type. And then I guess with some of our peers also, I think it's normal because like, when you take a picture and it looks good, but just that one part doesn't look that good, you kind of just want to edit it a little bit. But there's no wrong in that, but it just, when you see so many, when on social media you see perfected pictures, it warps your perspective of a normal body.
Some of that pictures are also not realistic.
It's not realistic. All the filters you have.
I realize most of the filters also, they promote like a more Eurocentric.
Like they will kind of like skin down
your eyes
bigger.
It's a more Eurocentric beauty standard. And then I think you mentioned something about the workout video titles before we started filming also, right?
So I found out that because I personally do a lot of workouts following like YouTube videos, but I constantly found that there are so much of video promoting like, you can lose your love handle, you can slim down your thighs, you can have thigh gaps in 2 weeks, 1 month, which is very unrealistic. And if a person didn't think there was an issue with that body part of them, they shouldn't be, affected by this kind of video. This video kind of promotes like the ideal type. You need to have like a bigger backside. You need to have snatch waist or thigh gaps. I think before these videos goes viral, we didn't care about like
how you
thigh
look.
gaps,
I'm
skinnier arms.
We're
just living normally. So I think this kind of video is like, although exercise is good, but they are directing people in the wrong
they're
wrong
pointing out
path.
little insecurities about people that maybe we didn't, let's say talk about thigh gaps. Maybe we didn't notice like certain people have thigh gaps and certain people don't, and then when they point it out and then suddenly like,
I don't have thigh gaps, I should have
probably get it. And then they do it by like with what we said, over controlling diet or like over exercising, which is pretty kind of sad.
Yeah, it actually heightens our self-consciousness of all these little details which are not like, it doesn't matter at all sometimes.
Although it may be beneficial to notice, like I guess similarly, like if you have some issue with, like maybe you're obese, unhealthily obese, and then you are not aware of it, and then it's like pointed out to you, then yeah, great, you can find out ways to improve your health. But I think in this case, a lot of healthy people also, they don't have thigh gaps. So it's kind of just like pointing out a problem that doesn't exist. That maybe exists, but it didn't matter. It didn't affect the person's health.
It's not like a concern to your health. I think the main point is health. Whatever you do, if it concerns your health, then it's okay to do it. But it's about, how you want to fit into society or how you want to meet certain standards. Then I think you are straying away from what it means to be healthy. Then I think that's going downhill and everything's just going wrong.
And then another thing I want to add on also is that these things, they only point out the looks part. It's not about your health, it's more about how you look. And we all know that healthy looks different on everyone. We all have different body types. Maybe some people, like I mentioned, maybe some people naturally have a thinner frame, some people are curvier naturally, and everyone has really different body, and just because they don't look a certain way doesn't mean they're not healthy, And then and also I think the workout videos, they usually put like a time, right? So they would say like lose weight in 2 weeks, 1 week.
1 month.
They usually put very specific title, lose how many pounds, certain amount of pounds in 2 weeks, which is pretty unrealistic because everyone has different fitness level. Maybe there are some who are already really fit, and then they were doing this workout video, and then it doesn't really help them to lose weight because it's normal for them. It doesn't help them to create that caloric surplus as much as the others.
And also I think the routine, their daily life, and also how much effort and time are you putting into all these workout videos. Because they are YouTuber influencer. This is their job to exercise. But then if you're just a normal human working from 9 to 5 or even your own work, like how do you squeeze the time to do all this? Although you can, but can you really put so much effort? Or if you accidentally skip one day and you miss that pounds, so you kind of feel guilty, like, oh no, maybe I'm not doing it right, and then everything just go downhill.
I think it kind of sorts of affect your mental when you like, you feel guilty when you skip. Oh no, I skipped 1 day. What if I didn't hit this target within 2 weeks, like as mentioned in the title? Then it kind of sorts of make you feel it's kind of like pressure, and then obsessed with it, and then it really kind of gets toxic.
And also it's funny that they promise. I guess it's not really a promise, it's just to lure people in, but it's sort of like a promise that you will lose weight if you do this video every day for. But usually these videos are like 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Some are 10 minutes or 5 minutes also.
So it's kind of funny that out of a person 24 hour with, you don't know what food are they consuming. You don't know how they're like what their activity apart from the 10 minutes they're doing this workout are like. And then you're like, oh yeah, if you do this 10 minutes every day, you will lose weight. So
it's
kind
not
of
realistic.
I think the public also needs to understand that exercise it's not the key thing that make you lose weight. It's a combination of your
exercise and
diet, and then with the caloric surplus you can lose weight. But it's kind of not known. I feel like it's not really known it's a very simple concept, but I guess the public doesn't really know that, because I still hear a lot of people saying like, oh, if you eat this certain food you will lose weight, which doesn't make sense. No food will help you burn calorie. So I think we discussed a lot about the social media influence on us in our current life. So I think all of this, it actually can result in like body dysmorphia, which is a mental health condition where one over worries about flaws in their appearance. Like I said, it's usually stuff on social media nowadays, they typically point out what's wrong with your appearance, not your health. And then I think for now, I'm glad that like at least for now there is more awareness on eating disorder and body dysmorphia and like our mental health, our relationship with food in general. Because in my perception, diet culture seems less of a problem now because it's more seen and more people are opening up on social media, and so more people are aware of this problem. So for example, eating disorder, body dysmorphia, it's discussed more in a positive way. Yeah. And with intuitive eating gaining popularity and influencers having and promoting healthy relationship with food and exercise, and I think there's also more dietitians, more of us on social media now, and then they are addressing all these common myths and issues, as well as like more emphasis again on a healthy relationship with food and exercise.
And also I think right now, not just like the whole social circle, like all of us are getting more inclusive, and also there's more diversity on how people should look like, on your appearance. I think this is a good thing to have. We are heading there. Everyone is being more inclusive of each other. We don't really judge, although there are still some people who judge body shape, but I think right now we are heading towards the more inclusive society.
That is true.
There's a movie called Reflect. It's a new Disney movie. I think it will be aired on the next year, 2023.
I think I need to keep in touch with Disney more. I don't know what's going on with Disney now.
I just saw the advertisement. There's a girl called Bianca, and she is a little bit plus size, but she is in the ballet team. She's constantly like being looked down by everyone, but the whole movie shows her like her determination and growth throughout the ballet, her life with ballet, but it's not focusing on losing weight. The whole movie didn't focus on losing weight for her, but the movie focused on like how she overcome her fear, how she overcome like stop comparing herself with the others. Accepting herself.
I'm glad we are seeing that change now. But actually, I feel like these changes are more pronounced in the Western countries. In Asia countries, I can't say for all, but at least in Malaysia, like I said, while there is some improvement, I feel like everyone, like you said, everyone is more inclusive now. But personally, I still hear a lot of people in my social circles losing weight or gaining weight unhealthily. And like just some personal sharing in my gym, like the gym members typically, they refer to exercise as a way to burn off calories. So like when we go for workouts and stuff, right, when I bump into my friends in gym when they're working out, they're like, oh, I ate too much, so that's why I need to be here today. So like it's not like, oh, I like exercising, that's why I'm here, like I want to do this today. It's more about like, oh, I ate too much, so I gotta burn it off.
I think that's what happens most of the people nowadays, because like they only focus on losing weight instead of doing it for their health.
Doing it as a hobby also.
Health and enjoyment.
It's like my responsibility to take off my weight or
And when you have that mindset, obviously you're not really gonna stick to that habit
routine,
because you feel pressured and unhappy every time you do it. So
it's like you're losing the goal of what exercise actually means, to be healthy. And I also remember that time, in IMU, they have this event called Health and Wellness Week, which is on October. So I was one of the student volunteer, and I think some of you are also the student volunteer. And that time I was in charge of the weighing scale. So we have 3 different parts, right? One is the height, and then the waist circumference, and then the weight. So I was in charge of that. And then what we did that time is not students, but lecturers and IMU staff. And
so grown adults.
Grown adults. Okay, specifically grown adults. So what amazed me or shocked me is that even grown adults, when we weight them, although their BMI is normal, but then they will feel like, oh, I'm heavier, or oh, am I overweight? They will ask me this kind of question, although no, you're normal, you're perfectly fine, and be like, okay, time to lose weight. I'm like, no, don't, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to. You're perfectly healthy now. And I think people are really sensitive when we're about to take their waist measurement and their weight. They're like, oh, I just ate, so it might be bigger, it might be higher. You know?
I totally agree with you guys, because me and Ning also went to the, I think it's
Assessment?
Oh, MDD.
It's
Malaysian
MDD, Malaysian
Day.
Dietitian Day, and for us we measured students more. They also kind of like, is it very heavy for me, and are my fat mass, muscle mass not enough, not balanced? They are kind of negatively opinion.
Like
it
their
just
body
sounds
image.
kind of sad. It's like, as Esther said, like even the older generations, like they are the one passing down the mindset. They still have those negative thoughts, so it really impacts for those younger generations, since their mindset still stay the same.
Talking about younger generation, my close relative, like she's maybe 10 years old younger than me, which is like 10 years old. Then although her weight is normal and she's slightly leaning to the underweight scale based on the BMI calculated, she still wanted to lose her weight. She's constantly going on diet until she was admitted to the hospital because of her stomach problem. So I think it's not a very healthy mindset for our younger generation, and we should like educate more or spread more awareness about healthier routine and
healthier
diet.
relationship with your body, you know, like love your
That's
body.
really true, because it really surprised me that everyone during the Health and Wellness Week, and now hearing from you guys during the Malaysian Dietitian Day also, it really surprised me how negative everyone's body image is. I mean, maybe because we don't talk about it that much in our daily lives, but when we're placed in this type of activities where it's the focus of our activity right now, so like you could really see how everyone's perception of their body is like, and
kind of lack of confidence.
and it's really upsetting that they were mostly negative. So actually, do you guys think what we as dietitians do can improve this problem? Like, do you guys have any suggestion?
So for me, as you can see, people nowadays are on their phone, and then we are more exposure to social media, as you said previously. So for me, I personally think that like dietitians on social media, they can promote those healthy diets and all those like healthy habits, and then mindsets as well, like improve people's mindset. So whenever it's necessary, they could really make great use of the social media.
That's really true. And
then for me, I think because we are the future dietitian, and we should ourselves should practice a positive attitude towards diet and overall mental and physical wellness. We are the role model of the next generation and also our older generation. We should be more aware about how our action will affect their attitude or mindset. Since we are like the professionals, they will look up to us, so we must have the responsibility to do things right. We need to put more effort into promote healthy and balanced diet, and also maybe make healthy and balanced diet the mainstream and the main culture, the main diet culture.
And also,
really
since we acquire the professional and knowledge that we have right now, maybe like dietitians, they can call out those problematic and incorrect informations on social media.
It's really true.
I think dietitians and nutritionists are not really known in the society, and as the social media grows, and I really hope that our name, dietitian, nutritionist, can be heard by more people, and they can know that if they want to know about diets or weight loss or anything that related to health and food, we are the right person to look for. Dietitian, nutritionist, they are everywhere, at hospital, a community setting, or even sometimes in social media, there are a lot of new dietitians and nutritionists that they are opening new Instagram page or even TikTok page, like one of our speaker, Georgian Cooking. Yeah, so he promotes how to cook healthily, and I think these are really good platform for people to know that we are here to help you and we are the right person to help you. And so do come to us, do just check us out, in hospital, even if you're sometimes when you go to hospital checkup, if you have an option to meet a dietitian or nutritionist, don't miss that, because it's really, really nice to just consult them and ask for advice.
I really agree with what you guys said. Like what Esther mentioned about dietitians and nutritionists deserving more recognition, because I'm not sure about other countries, but again, in Malaysia, what I've experienced is that people tend to think they know more about people tend to think that like they already know, they don't need our help. Like what I heard a lot is like, who are you to tell me what to eat?
Yeah, they're like, this is common sense. Yeah. Like, it's not common sense. The common sense is wrong.
Yeah, because like when you search up, because it's such a lifestyle thing, like such a common thing that can be applied to everyone. Obviously, there are a lot of people who go online and search for it. But like we mentioned, there's so many misinformation online now that they may be misguided already, but again, they've believed in that for so long. So maybe it's hard for them to let go. Yeah, so they tend to feel like, oh, if I can get this information online, I already know this. But you're telling me otherwise, I'd rather believe the
thing they are searching for.
Yeah, that they have believed in so long. So it's kind of sad, but I hope in the future we can improve this problem, and that dietitians, nutritionists would be more recognized for our hard work. We studied so hard for this. And I think also one more thing is that I think Jia Yi mentioned this, but we should be more mindful with our choice of words as well when we are consulting people, because certain words may serve as triggers even if you don't notice it. Like let's say like burn it off, bad food, like unhealthy food. But it's all these little choices of words, that little details like this, it might really affect a person's relationship with food and exercising and eating in general. And we also need to really take note that healthy looks different on everyone. So when a person appears like on the curvier side, on the larger side, doesn't mean, or on the thinner side, doesn't mean that they're not healthy. It might just be genetics. And with that, I think we can wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Thank you guys so much for sharing your opinions today. I had a lot of fun to hear all these opinions from you guys. And I hope that this episode has impacted our listeners and helped you be more conscious about your mental health and help to improve your relationship with food and exercise in general. So before we sign off, do check us out on our social media. Details are attached down below by Dear Editor Claire. And thank you once again for tuning in to our podcast today, and we'll see you on the next episode. This is INDSA Podcast,
inspiring everyone to choose the food that brings the good. Bye!